Do you think Western teams should be concerned, the top teams in the West, about these new-look Suns?
No, not the top teams. I don't feel that way at all. I really, really am happy for Devin Booker more so than anybody else that CP3 is there, because the one thing that he has desperately needed is an elite point guard to be in the backcourt with himself, because Devin Booker is a star. He's on the verge of superstardom. This brother is something special, and obviously he's the face of the Phoenix Suns franchise. So to have an experienced guard like CP3, who is the quintessential point guard and floor general, one of the elite floor generals this game has ever seen, he's going to be an upgrade to any squad that he shows up on. Make no mistake about it. But when you talk about the big-time teams in the Western Conference, primarily we're talking about the Lakers, the Denver Nuggets, of course, the Clippers. I don't see the Phoenix Suns being able to mess with that, regardless of Booker's fall away that helped beat the Los Angeles Clippers during that 8-game regular season run where they ended up winning the final 8 games that they showed up in the bubble. I understand it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. I definitely think this elevates the CP3 acquisition, elevates the Phoenix Suns to the postseason. I think they'll be somewhere between the 5th and the 7th seed in the Western Conference. But in terms of the big teams having something to be worried about with them collectively, I don't see that happening. I'm a fan of Monty Williams. I thought he did an outstanding job. He's got the franchise pointed in the right direction. That combined with CP3's leadership, his floor generalship, his skill capabilities, along with the stardom that comes along with Devin Booker, Phoenix will be in the postseason. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But it's not like they're all of a sudden a championship contender. I don't view them that way, and that's why I don't view them as being a threat to the top teams, meaning the top 2 or 3 teams in the Western Conference. I don't see that happening.
I think they are a threat. I'm not going to pick them to win the whole thing. I think they're a top 5 to 6 team, but much in the way last year you looked at the Nuggets or the Jazz and you said that they're a threatening team. You wouldn't put them in the uppermost echelon, but they're a threatening team. And actually, the Nuggets bumped off the Clippers. They did pose an actual threat, and they executed that threat to a team perceived as a top 2 or 3 team. I think of the Suns like that now. Look, ideally, what do they need? They need another playmaker, like a real playmaker off the bench, and maybe another upper echelon rotation piece on the bench. Maybe they're a little thin. But just think about their starting 5 or even 6. Obviously, the backcourt. What does CP3 bring? Devin Booker's like a hybrid 1-2 backcourt combo type guard, but CP3 can do the same thing, actually. Even at his height, he can play off ball, but he's really going to dictate the offense, right? He's a brilliant basketball player, the ideal point guard, old school, new school, any era. Chris Paul, you'd love running your offense. And he can shoot, and he can defend, and he can lead. You put that with Devin Booker, who I used to look at, is this an empty calorie kind of stat? No, he's not. 8-0 in the bubble, guys. And Devin Booker was doing his thing in the service of winning. So that's your backcourt now. That is totally elite. That backcourt matches up, not necessarily beats, but matches up about evenly with any backcourt in the league. It has a chance to be one that we really remember, even at Chris Paul's age. Now look at the other pieces on the team. The 2-3 and D guys, right? Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. They're legit 3-and-D guys, not just by, like, reputation. I know Bridges' shot's been up and down. But they can actually really defend and actually really shoot. Those are exactly the kind of complementary pieces you want on a team with Booker and Chris Paul. The biggest question mark in the starting lineup is the number 1 overall pick, DeAndre Ayton, who's already a good NBA player, but hasn't really hit that next level, that all-star level, even though he's 18, you know, like a 20-10 guy or an 18-12 guy, whatever.
18 and 11.
18 and 11, but like in that neighborhood. But with Chris Paul on the team, you think Chris Paul is going to take any kind of underachievement from DeAndre Ayton? Chris Paul's going to look at him and say, you're 7 feet, I'm only 6 feet. Chris Paul doesn't jump the highest, run the fastest. He's obviously not the tallest. He's just among the best. He's going to demand that from DeAndre Ayton. And then even Dario Saric off the bench. This dude not only can shoot, but his passing, he's one of these big point forwards, whatever, from Eastern Europe, where you watch them pass, you go, damn, that's your 6th man? I don't love their depth at this point, but really what they just did was trim the fat to bring in a superstar. I think the Suns are dangerous. I put them top 5 to 6, and they have a chance to upset one of the elite teams if things go right.
Look, the Phoenix Suns are a threat in the West. They're going to be a top 5 team. Adding Chris Paul, one of the best point guards to ever touch the basketball, going pair up with Devin Booker, who's one of the best scorers in today's game, is going to be serious. You got Devin Booker who could go for 50 on any given night, and you give him Chris Paul and take him off the ball when he's going to be able to get easier baskets and not have to work as hard. And Max, you're talking about DeAndre Ayton. Listen, DeAndre Ayton will be an all-star this year. Mark my words. Chris Paul will have the effect on him like he did DeAndre Jordan when he was with the Clippers. When DeAndre Jordan played with Chris Paul, he played some of his best basketball of his career. And you talk about Mikal Bridges. This kid is a 3-and-D guy. He locks up on the defensive end. On the offensive end, he's able to create for himself. He's an underrated offensive player, and he's a dog. He's a straight pit bull. And then you talk about Cam Johnson, who's a light-out shooter. They have Aaron Baines, by the way, Big Baines coming in off the bench, who's a bruiser, who you could throw on big bodies like Big Jokic or even Anthony Davis and beat them up a little bit in the paint. So I'm looking at this Phoenix Suns, coached by Monty Williams, and they are a threat in the West. They are a Denver Nuggets team that we saw this year and will shock and surprise a lot of people. And don't be surprised if they make it to the Western Conference Finals and be competing with one of those LA teams, or should I say California teams, to go to the NBA Finals.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.